know, I travel with the Darksaber now. It's just, I had to check a bag. They will not let you carry it on.
We got Lizzo and Jack Black got involved because, honestly, one of the things that we really like about working on the show is we like to bring in people who are fans themselves. And Lizzo and Jack Black both were very active on social media. We didn't know, I know Jack from way back, but he was posting him doing Mandalorian things on either it was Instagram or TikTok, I don't know. And Lizzo was dressing up like Grogu, and my kids were showing me all these videos of how into it Lizzo was. And so as we were figuring out, we had an episode that was going to have, you know, this really eccentric royal couple in a court, like something that felt like something out of Alice in Wonderland. And we reached out, and they were like, "We'd love to." And there's something really fun about being on the set with people who are excited to meet, you know, Grogu, because it's, you know, it's a puppet, but it's animatronic, and the operators are, you know, you'll have like 5 people off to the side, but it's radio controlled, and people when they hold that little puppet, it's like they're dealing with a real character. So it was really fun and exciting on the set. It was a chance for us because it's a lot of pretty heavy, serious stuff happens this season. So this was a really good. This planet that we went to gave us permission to have a lot of fun with it, so it was a lot of fun. It was a blast on set.
Christopher Lloyd is absolutely amazing. I met him many years ago, and he is just like, the same as I feel like he always was. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid watching him, and Jack and Lizzo. I mean, come on. Thankfully, we got to a certain point where Bo was also amused by them. So she had a smile on her face the whole time, because I wouldn't have. Sitting there with a straight face is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, and thankfully I was able to lean into that amusement as well. As Bo.
They brought out a different side of Bo.
They did.
Look at that. See, Lizzo.
She did.
Lizzo has that magical effect.
Yeah, but watching her on set with Grogu was one of the funniest things, because I feel like I was watching myself back for the first time, like because she was so excited. The first time she saw him, like she was like, I swear she had a tear in her eye. She was so excited to meet Grogu.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Now, even when we first met with her, we did a Zoom, and her whole window was filled with Grogu's everywhere, because you know, and she was so excited about being a part of this, and I think the thing that, you know, brings all of us together are just the excitement about Star Wars, and these are fans, and I think both Lizzo and Jack Black have been fans of the show, fans of Star Wars forever, and so it was just, it's great that there are so many people who love Star Wars and love the show, and then when you're like, dang, Lizzo, you know?
Yeah, I know, right?
And Jack Black, they want to be on this. It's pretty great.
Yeah, and listening to her story about how her father introduced her to Star Wars as well. Like there's so many common stories about how Star Wars came into people's lives, and it's just that common ground again that, you know, we're all fans, and how it came into someone's life is always so fun, and she's no different.
Yeah, exactly. Even for Lizzo.
We come up with these ideas and we think of like who might work with it. We make sure to, before we get too far, bring them into the process. So it's not just like, here's who you're gonna play. It's like, what do you think of this? You know, we want you to be this person. What are your thoughts on it? Make it a real collaboration. I think it's really key to the success of it. And you know, he has, I didn't know how much he knew about martial arts. Did you know that, like coming in? And then he's like showing us, he puts like a lightsaber and he's suddenly swinging it all around. And you're like, oh, okay, so.
No, he studies like Arness, like he knows how to do double wielding, and he had done a lot of work on that character of Kelleran Beck for Jedi Temple Challenge. So, you know, he's been involved with Star Wars all the way through, and definitely they had formulated this character, and we love to draw in, you know, from all of Star Wars, and even things that aren't canon. If they feel right, we'll pull them in, and so it just made sense, you know, because you're also looking at who could it be, you know, there's who's on the list. You don't want to just put a Jedi in.
Do we even show a person, right? Like, is it that everything's on the table at that point? Because you know, you want it to be what everyone imagines it or dreams it to be. And you know, when we came up with the elevator and the door, it's like,
Yeah.
who's on the other side of that door? Well, you know, I think people were pretty
No,
happy.
it was great. It was
Yeah.
great, and now that character exists squarely in Star Wars canon. And boy, I think people dig seeing that character. I want to learn more about that character.
It was fun watching him on set because we had clones and we had Naboo guards. And I think for him, it was like a real flashback. Now, interesting because there wouldn't have been any clones on set because they were all digital in the prequels. But, you know, we actually had, you know, people in armor.
Counterintuitively,
Yeah.
the more recent ones have
Yeah, the
less
old
CG
school.
characters. Yeah, yeah.
But it was, you know, I think he really paused and took it in. You know, when you're a veteran of this thing, I think it hits you in probably a very different way. And you know, he worked with George, which is very special. Such a, you know, a close-knit group of people now. And I think it's fun to have these people still included, like in Obi-Wan, you know, Hayden and Ewan. Like, how great was it just seeing them? So, you know, it lives on. Star Wars keeps continuing in the best possible way.
Well, Bo, I mean, when we last left Bo, she's in possession of the Darksaber, right? And so I think obviously that has implications in terms of her leadership. There's, you know, these factions of Mandalorians that have to come together, and just the, you know, the survival of the Mandalorian as a culture and people. I think a lot of those things are going to get grappled with in the last 2 episodes of the season.
You know, I travel with the Darksaber now. It's just I had to check a bag. They will not let you carry it on. It's I know it's terrible. You can't take it anywhere.
You would think. I
You'd
don't know.
f-
What
I
would,
mean-
I don't know. On a plane, well, that couldn't
Yeah.
do much.
No, I
damage.
mean I can't. Please, it's just to protect people.
Yes.
You know, I think for Bo, she finally got to a place where she had been humbled enough that she didn't want the Darksaber anymore. And, you know, for it to find its way back to her at this point, after she's gone on this journey this season, I think she's finally at a place where she's open to the idea that leading may look different than she'd expected. But she's finally realizing that she can't do it alone, and I think that's where she needed to get to. So having it is, I think, not necessarily as important to her as she thought it would be, because it means something bigger.
Our season started with ritual, and it was the ritual of the helmet ceremony, and we know from Din Djarin how important that was in terms of his beliefs and his belief system, and I think that's part of what has defined Mandalorians as a culture are these rituals and beliefs. The Darksaber is among those, and so in the same way that I think for Din Djarin, he's had to sort of experience this journey of going from sort of you know, true dogmatic belief in creed that said he would never take off his helmet, to understanding when he met Bo and other Mandalorians that there could be different ideas around these symbols and ritual. I think the Darksaber in many ways is sort of starting to have that same kind of conversation around the importance of it, both as a symbol, culturally, what does it mean to wield it? Is that where leadership truly comes from, or is it from something else? And so I think much as, you know, a lot of our culture that we've built and seen in Mandalorian has come out of these very specific symbols, it's ultimately about the people behind them and the culture behind it. And I think that's what all our characters are starting to deal with as season 3 is coming to a head. You know.
Yeah, I think that there is a world where Bo was contemplating staying with the armor and her group. I think it's the first time in Bo's life where she has been so readily accepted, or at least that's the first time she has felt that. And there is a peace in knowing that you belong. And I don't know if she's ever truly felt that sense of comfort and acceptance from anyone. So I do believe that she's questioning her beliefs, not only because of her time with Din, but I think that because of that respect that she does have for the armor and the Mandalorian culture and people. I think that she's looking at things a very, very different way now.
Again, just sort of continuing the conversation around the culture of Mandalorians and what that means. You know, I think that you know, Bo is in a very different place, and I think, you know, being a part of something is also, I think she's always been being a leader and leading her people, and being that person has always been foremost in her mind. And now she's a part of this thing where you're just one of the group, one of many who believe in something, and I think it's coming at a time when she sort of had this experience on Mandalore, which obviously was very meaningful and sort of shook up a lot of the ideas of what these beliefs are. And I think in many ways, this sort of coming together of church and state with the armorer and Bo, with sort of these beliefs that we have, which, you know, we often think of and hold on to and say, well, these are just silly superstitions. But sometimes it's about how those beliefs bring people together more than what the actual thing is. And I think that's where Bo and even the armor are starting to see that, you know, even from that perspective, there's a, we are all from the same people. And so what does it mean that, you know, our beliefs are this specific and yours are not? Is that what binds us together, and how do these rituals define us as a people, and not necessarily, okay, if you're not doing this, you're not a part of it, you know? So.
I think that it's such a beautiful metaphor for life and you know, our culture, in the sense that you know, we don't all have the same belief systems. We interpret things differently, but at our core, we all want the primary things that we want are all the same. And I think that sometimes it's, you know, for the armor and Bo, it's celebrating your similarities instead of focusing on your differences, and it's bringing them together for the betterment of the people, which is, you know, where we're sort of seeing Bo at right now.
Not only is it extreme look change, it's a heavy, heavy, heavy change. It weighs a lot because of all the brocade and different layers, and that crazy cape on the back with the little creatures following him around. So it's you know, moving around in it. It's actually, man, it's one of the toughest pieces of wardrobe I think I've ever worn, because the cape is so long and so heavy. Just turning around it, I've got to kind of sweep it with my hand, and then you got those crazy little things on the back that get swept along also. It's
having that much power is a tremendous burden.
It didn't feel like power, really. It felt like I was living up to the wardrobe's designer's desires, you know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were really looking forward to a knockdown, drag-out fight between Bo and the armorer. And I love that we got to surprise them with this perhaps alliance. You know, there's a lot of people who are understandably still very skeptical about it. And I think even the two of them are still sort of feeling it out. But I think that skepticism is very understandable. And I think for the two of them, you know, they have ideas and ideals that they have held to very strongly for a long time. And they have based the way that they live on those ideals. And both of them have had to learn through trials and tribulations that there may be another way of looking at things, and that perhaps the only way forward is through looking at things through another lens. And I love that they're both maybe open to that new idea. We're still seeing if that holds true. But I'm very excited. I was excited when I got that script and saw that we had that scene together, and that there was this really tension-filled moment of her asking her to remove her helmet. And it was thrilling to shoot that, because it was, you know, Katie said when we were doing it that she didn't know if she should be doing that or not. You know, was the armorer setting her up to fall? But everyone is sort of getting out of their comfort zone and realizing that the old way hasn't been working. So we don't really know what the new way is, but there needs to be perhaps a different way.
It actually was a lot of, dare I say the word fun, part of the reason is because both actresses, both Katie and Emily, are so invested as actresses in their characters, and to see them move through the scene, and to see them together, because you don't have a lot of scenes which are about two women, two very powerful women, you know, who, as Emily said, who really have their understanding of what they've been doing and why they're doing it. And to see them come together in the armorer's lair, so to speak, and seem to be forming this alliance, you know, having an understanding, coming from a kind of female perspective, energy, was really kind of cool in The Mandalorian, you know, which is filled obviously with all this testosterone and action and male perspectives. It was a cool scene in that quiet sort of space that the that the armorer has controlled for so long. So first of all, having the armorer invite her into the space, and for them to interact in the way they did, just gave it another color, which was really nice to see.
I've been, you know, regaining my dignity and harnessing all of my energy with a plan. And I knew that they were cooking up something really great for Moff Gideon, which you're soon to be apprised of. But you know, the creators of the show are so, you know, very specific in what they do, and their timing within the season episodes are built to excite and give you anticipation. So I trust that they know exactly where I should enter and how that should be played out. We don't often get apprised of the scripts if we're not in them. I think it's just the way of trying to keep things under wraps for our creators. So you make a phone call and you say, hey, what's happening? What's the plan? And they're tight-lipped and giving you little clues as to what may happen. I'm one of those actors that doesn't really need to know. And so, you know, John will call me and say, you know, something along the lines of possibly this or that or the other, and I'm like, I'm here to serve. You know, let me know when you need me. You know, at a certain point, we need mirrors. We need mirrors for the light and the dark, the good and the evil. We need to see mirrors of ourselves, and I think that's why this show is so successful, because we're able to see the struggle on a larger scale of a people who want to reclaim something they've lost. They are having a hard time getting it together to bring everyone together, right? To bring the disparate parts of their own people together. And while that confusion is there, we're still, somewhere out there is someone who wants to really take over and has another agenda. And so that excitement is always there, and it's always a wonderful thing to play a character like Moff Gideon, because at the right moment, I'm gonna come in and surprise you.